Welcome to Muddy's Whitetail 101. Last week I was talking about the changing food sources, how the deer were leaning more towards the corn, the dried down beans, and anything green. And the green, we're talking clover, alfalfa, your brassicas, some of your winter wheat type, cereal grain food plots. But I want to add one thing to that. As we go forward now, we're going to see more and more farmers picking their cornfields. And the thing that deer like more than anything else, you can pull deer off acorns with a freshly picked cornfield. So anytime you see the combines running in an area that you have permission to hunt, be sure that you're in a tree in that area, on that field, as soon as possible after that combine pulls out. And I think it's primarily because the deer, they're conditioned to the simplest or the easiest or the most efficient way to get their food. And after the combine pulls out, there's a lot of waste grain that's just scattered around on the ground, just kernels spread around. They just made it through the combine, or one reason or another, they did not end up in the hopper, they ended up on the ground. And the deer will just move through there and just pick those up. It's a lot easier for them than to try to rip the kernels off an ear, or as time goes by, of course, they're gonna have to scrounge more and more for it. This is easy to get, there's lots of it, and that's what they go for. So look for those picked cornfields. In fact, that's what we did last week. When our season came in, one of the first places I went was a freshly picked cornfield. And I told you I was gonna bring you a little bit of hunting action last week. Well, I only got out one time, and we did see a lot of deer. It's been so warm though, that I just feel like these mature bucks aren't coming out until later in the day. And we're seeing that, or basically later in the night. And we're seeing that on the trail cameras for the most part. We're seeing mature buck activity late. But it was exciting to hunt the picked cornfield, pulled the blind right out into the middle of it, and had some pretty good action there. So keep that in mind as the fall continues to advance here. That's going to be your #1 food source whenever it's available. Okay, let's talk a little bit more now about October and what we're going to see this month and what we're really going to key on. The very best days of the whole season, rut included, can be those days when the cold fronts go through in October. And we're talking about typically a temperature drop of at least 10 degrees from the normal. Not a 5 or 10, 5-degree drop. It doesn't affect the deer that much. But if the normal temperature for this time of the year is 60 degrees, and the high for tomorrow is going to be 45, or the low is going to be in the 30s, or whatever the case may be, where you've got this really good hit of cool temperatures that are dropping, these 15 degrees from where you've been to, a really substantial amount. The deer are going to move on that. And we see that every year. The action occurs the day that the front goes through. A lot of times you'll get maybe a rain that comes with that, and as soon as the rain quits, you get this clearing wind and the skies turn blue and the pressure starts to come up and the temperatures drop. That's when you want to be out there, that day when that change occurs, and usually the next day. Usually you have about a 2-day window in October for maximum action when these cold fronts go through. So keep your eye on the forecast, and granted, you don't have a lot of control at the last minute of changing your vacation days, but you might be able to get lucky and it falls on a weekend, and you're going to see that throughout much of the Midwest, or you saw that, I guess, this past week. The cold front went through Friday, Saturday, Sunday through most of the Midwest and most of the United States. So that's, when it hits on the weekends, it's a no-brainer, but it's a little bit trickier when those cold fronts are coming through during the week, when you have to try to last minute, get out there. Fortunately, without daylight savings time, you might have an hour or so that you can get into the stand. I would take full advantage of these cold fronts whenever you can. Now I want to talk, last but not least, about some gear tips. And I have not hit on the sticks yet, the muddy sticks. When we're going into spots where it's going to be a hang and hunt, where you've got to get up quick and quiet, and you may not stay in that location for more than that season, or maybe even more than a few weeks, then you're going to move out again. That's the perfect setting for using the sticks, because they go in fast. You can get up to stand height fast. You can take them out on the way down, load them all up, strap them to your stand, and then you're on your way. And you don't have that effort of screwing those steps in. You can spend 45 minutes screwing tree steps in to get up to stand height, whereas 5 minutes with some of these climbing sticks and you got that done. So take full advantage of it. There's 3 of them in the muddy line that we really focused on. The Aerolite is the lightweight, a little bit more mechanical, high-tech sticks. And the Outfitter is a very affordable stick that you can purchase. You can buy as many sections as you want. And then the Stagger is another one that's fairly affordable. You know, if you want to put up, you know, multiple tree stands and you don't want to have, you have to take the same sticks and go from tree to tree to tree, you can leave a few out there. And typically when I'm hanging tree stands with this style, I have 4 sections. And if you have a lot of branches that you can use on the way up, you might be able to get away with 3 sections. But normally 4 sections is going to get you to that 18-foot range, you know, maybe 20-foot range, somewhere in there. Again, it's nice to have steps or branches to help you out, so you don't need as many steps. But plan on 4, and that should take care of most of your needs. Well, that's it for this week. I appreciate you joining me. We'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Muddy's Whitetail 101.